Welp, we made it. Howdy folks, and a happy new year to you. 2023 was quite a crazy year, but luckily we don't have to worry about that now because it's 2024. Luckily, we got a lot of great movies last year, and today I'm going to rank my top 20. But there were some films that I did not get the chance to see on time that probably could have made the list, including Poor Things, The Zone of Interest, Oppenheimer, Anatomy of a Fall, American Fiction, and The Iron Claw. I will update my 2023 ranking on my Letterboxd account when I see some of the movies, which, by the way, you should all follow me on Letterboxd, and I will have a link in the description to the website. Getting into the list, we have some honorable mentions, including You Hurt My Feelings, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, Silver Dollar Road, Judy Blume Forever, Next Goal Wins, The Creator, Air, Dungeons & Dragons Honor Among Thieves, Rustin, and The Killer. Number 20 is Rye Lane, directed by Rain Allen Miller. This is an incredibly funny film with two great leads that gives me hope for the future of the rom-com genre. Number 19 is Smoking Causes Coughing, directed by Quentin Dupieux. There's no way I'm saying that right. This is a hilarious satire of the superhero genre that is not afraid to get very existential. Number 18 is Christopher Borgley's Dream Scenario. This is a very funny film that uses surrealism in a very clever and entertaining way. This has a great screenplay and a great usage of Nicolas Cage. Coming in at number 17, we have Sam Esmail's Leave the World Behind. This is a great thriller that shows how irrationally we act when we're in danger. Throw in some great performances and cinematography and we have ourselves a good movie. Number 16 is American Symphony, a documentary by Matthew Heineman. This was a very touching documentary about how our life and love influences our art and vice versa. Number 15 is Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, directed by Kemp Powers, Justin K. Thompson, and Joaquim Dos Santos. This is filled with great action, animation, and high stakes, but it's only so high stakes because you actually care about the characters. At number 14, we have Molly Gordon and Nick Lieberman's Theater Camp. In a year filled with lots of great comedies, this one just might take the cake for being the absolute funniest. All of the actors are fantastic, the screenplay is hilarious, and the mockumentary aspects work really well. The oneness and bonds the characters have make the ending surprisingly emotional. Number 14 is How to Blow Up a Pipeline, directed by Daniel Goldhaber. This movie answers not only how, but why. Each of the characters' backstories are so clearly defined that it's impossible not to connect to something in each of them. The film finds a way to make you relate to each of them in some way, which makes it easier to root for them. It is the best climate activism heist movie, but not only just because it's the only climate activism heist movie. Number 12 is the directorial debut from A.V. Rockwell, 1001. This is a heartfelt and heartbreaking portrait of love, found family, change, and how impulsive decisions we make can haunt us forever. This also has some very powerful performances, great world building, and sharp editing. And just outside of the top 10 is Sofia Coppola's Priscilla. I was familiar with Elvis's side of the story, but not Priscilla's. The film captures the story very well and very emotionally. I see it as it's from the perspective of someone looking back on their life and realizing how blinded by nostalgia they were. Now, let's get into the top 10. Number 10 is Ennie's Men, directed by Mark Jenkin. This is a horror film with not much of a plot, so it's shocking that it's able to freak you out this much. In terms of horror films, this is the most immersive of the entire year. It does this through the eerie sound design and cinematography, which is also the best of the year. It tackles many themes through its use of horror, such as how breaks and cycles can scare us, how change can scare us. But I think the main theme is how we act differently when we're alone. How in our loneliness, our minds can go to bad places, and forces us to do bad things. How we are so scared of being alone and experiencing these bad thoughts that we try to do anything we can to stop them. I mean, this film has dark, flashing images. If you've seen some of my short films, you know that I'm a sucker for this sort of stuff. This is probably the most underrated movie of the year. I recommend it. Go check it out. Speaking of spooky stuff, number 9 is Brandon Cronenberg's Infinity Pool. The plot for this one is that when a couple commits a bad crime, the punishment is death, or if they can afford it, they can have a clone of themselves made and watch themselves die. That is a crazy original premise, and it delivers on that. The plot is not only super original, but delivered in a wholly unique and terrifying way. It's so terrifying in how it shows the absolute worst of people, and how money can change people so much. The idea of rich people going like, they can just clone me and kill that one, I'll be fine, is kind of funny, but this movie manages to make it absolutely terrifying. It's probably the most unique of all these recent Eat the Rich movies. Alexander Skarsgård gives maybe my favorite performance of the year in this, incredibly underrated, and Mia Goth is basically like a human version of a demon. This is a great movie, but if you're gonna watch it, I recommend do not watch it with anyone else. Just watch it alone, because if you show it to someone else, they're gonna think you're like a psychopath. I mean, really, there's some like really messed up stuff in here, like don't watch it with anyone. On the exact opposite side of the spectrum is Barbie, directed by Greta Gerwig. I'm a big fan of her and all of her films, which by the way, I'll have a ranking of all her films coming soon. This is not only the biggest film of her career, but of this whole year. It's crazy that a movie about Barbie has done so well, but that's not the reason why it's so high up on this list. The film tackles themes of gender roles and what it means to be a human in general. These are surprisingly deep themes for a Barbie movie of all things, but I find it pulls it off. It shows these themes in a surprisingly emotional way, but still manages to be very funny, smart, and accessible. I've been using the word surprisingly a lot, and that's because it's surprising that we got a Barbie movie that's this good. The performances are fantastic. These are honestly the roles that Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling were born to play. For the technical aspects, the cinematography, production design, music, costumes, they're all as good as they can be, which is pretty freaking good. Looking back, it's really no wonder that this was the biggest movie of 2023. Number 7 is Alexander Payne's The Holdovers. This is by far the best Christmas movie that released this year. I can't really name any other Christmas movies that released this year, but I know this one's already the best. No other movie I've seen nails this weird, comfortingly melancholic feeling this movie does so well. Kinda like that post-Christmas depression. It's like there are some scenes that are kinda happy, but still kinda not happy, and there are some scenes that are not happy, but still kinda happy, you know what I'm saying? Despite there being a lot of funny bits, I wouldn't categorize this entirely as a comedy, but rather as more of a drama. Because most of this is kinda sad, with mostly sad things happening to the characters. But that makes the moments when they do come together and sort of find joy even more uplifting than they already are. And that is, I think, why myself and many others find this kind of comforting and cozy in a way. It's so comforting because it's so familiar, and it feels so familiar because these are all feelings we've felt before. There are a lot of great performances in here, and on top of the look of the film, they're so natural you could mistake it for a movie that came out in the 70s. It's not often a movie finds its way into my yearly Christmas watch list, let alone a really recent movie like this one. But I think, with its strangely comforting feeling, The Holdovers just might have done it. At number 6 is Wes Anderson's Asteroid City, the most Wes Anderson movie he's ever made, in more ways than just one. From a technical aspect, we all knew this was going to be the most Wes Anderson movie ever made. The performances, production design, screenplay, these are just going to keep getting more and more Wes Anderson with every one of his films. But what I didn't expect was just how sad it was and how it presented its themes. It's very quietly devastating, much like how some of his earlier films, like the Royal Tenenbaums, were. The film asks if anything we do has any meaning, if it's all just pointless. But the film also shows how we as people keep trying to find the meaning in life, keep trying to prove it's not pointless. How even when things are down, we try to make the meaning of life for ourselves. And that's what's so beautiful about people. And that's what I think this film is really about, how even if there is no greater meaning of life, the true meaning is that people are beautiful. This will probably be the 2023 movie I rewatch the most. Number 5 is May December, directed by Todd Haynes, and what a movie this is. This is one of those movies where you don't realize its full effect until, weeks later. It's made in a way where you don't know what to feel until the movie is over. In this way, I feel the movie sort of plays a trick on you. You watch these characters tear each other down, and you can't help but be enamored by the filmmaking. Much of the film is watching the characters do very uncomfortable things, but the filmmaking puts you in some sort of trance, so you can't look away even if they're doing something awful. In a strange way, you don't realize the movie made you feel anything until after you've seen it. I've never seen a film be able to do that before. The film examines power dynamics and cycles we find ourselves brought into, and how changing those cycles, or breaking them, could be terrifying. These themes build up throughout the course of the runtime, adding up to one of the best endings of the year. To quote the best line of the whole movie and of the whole year, "This is just what grown-ups do." Number 4 is The Boy and the Heron, directed by Hayao Miyazaki. This film is not only beautiful visually, but also metaphorically in how it presents its themes. Since watching it for the first time, I've realized how well it depicts feelings of grief. In some other films, if a character dies, the other characters will not feel a thing, will show no reaction. Therefore, you, the audience, will not feel anything at all. But in this one, when characters die, the other characters actually feel things, and therefore you feel things too. On top of that, this film serves as a very good love letter to life in general. It gets you to appreciate every aspect of life, the good and the bad. There is no life without death, and there is no death without life. If this is Miyazaki's last film, I cannot think of a better way to go out. At number 3, we have Waiting for the Light to Change, the directorial debut from Lin Tran. In terms of directorial debuts, this is one of the strongest I've ever seen. Just based on how nuanced it is, it feels like something someone would make as their third film or something like that. But nope, this is her first film, and it is a masterpiece. In a strange way, it's very intimate, yet still incredibly isolating at the same time. It so well captures a feeling that doesn't have a name, an undefinable time in our lives. A feeling of knowing that something has to change, but you don't know what it is, so instead of doing anything to change, you just sit there. You watch everyone change around you for the better, and you feel regret for not having done anything. But instead of doing anything, you just continue to sit there, waiting for something to change instead of you. Do you do this out of spite, or self-pity, or just regret? You don't know. Are you just a bad person, or can you still change? You don't know. And so, you wait to find an answer to that question. It's crazy that the director captured all of that in just 89 minutes. I cannot wait to see what she does next. And number 2 is Martin Scorsese's Killers of the Flower Moon. Now that I've seen more of his films, I can see more what he's trying to do. A lot of his films, especially the recent ones, have shared a very reflective quality about them. And this one does too, but I also feel like it invents something new entirely. It combines themes of love, greed, and fear, as well as true history to create something so cinematic that you've never seen it before. And it uses this to effectively critique the true crime genre. People who look back on horrible events and say, "Oh, that's awful," then proceed to capitalize on that, are hypocrites. Hypocrites, like those who said they loved the Osage people, but then murdered them for their money. Time changes, but greed stays the same. And the way the ending of the film is used to criticize that is so genius that it's probably the best ending of the year. No, actually the best ending of the year, hands down. And from a technical aspect, this film is flawless. Thelma Schumacher's edit makes a 3.5-hour long film feel only an hour and a half long. And the performances alone are enough to give it a 5 out of 5. But even the background actors are Oscar-worthy. It's clear that they put all the care they needed into telling this story. It's so cool seeing such a cinematically rich movie in the modern day. But after hyping that up so much, what could possibly beat it? Well, I'll tell you what can beat it. That is Past Lives, directed by Celine Song, aka my favorite movie of 2023. Where do I even begin talking about this movie? Myself and many others find it very hard to talk about this movie just because of how personal it is. Does destiny exist? Is fate real? Are people really meant for each other? These are all thoughts we've had at one point, and the film portrays them masterfully. The film is built in a way where you can watch it once, connect to some things, and then watch it again years later and connect to whole new different things. I love movies like that, and this is one of the best and most emotional examples of that. You might have noticed that I haven't talked much about the film itself. The performances, cinematography, music, it's all great, but that's not why I think this film is so good. But rather, I think it's this film's ability to connect with so many different people that makes it so beautiful. If you put 10 people in a room and make them watch past lives, chances are, they'll all love it for different reasons. I cannot recommend this film enough. By the time you're done watching it, you're gonna want to watch it again and again and again and again. I mean, I rewatched it only a few days ago, and I already want to watch it for the third time. I seriously cannot stress enough just how phenomenal this film is. And well, that's the list. I would like to thank you all for an amazing 2023. This channel has grown tremendously, from silly tax fraud videos to my dad telling me that one of my videos ended up in his YouTube recommended page. That wouldn't be possible without you guys, so once again, thank you. I got some big plans for 2024, so I hope you stay tuned to see what I have in store. Once again, thank you all for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, follow my Letterboxd, stay safe, drink water, and have a happy new year. Bye.